Use this hack from the Bible to make growing your business so much easier. Okay, so let's talk about it. What I have realized in this 2025 time period, that people want the glory without going through what it takes to have a story. And in so many instances in the Bible, let alone history, you have someone who reached a pinnacle of what we would call greatness, right? Martin Luther King, Oprah, like all these different people, they reached a level of what people would call greatness, whether it's financial status, influence, etc., right? So even in the Bible, like let's go all the way back to the Old Testament, there was a prophet called Samuel, right? And in my opinion, he reached greatness. He counseled the king. He spent his entire life in ministry, right? Everyone, for the most part, like they knew what he was, they knew what he did. They took him seriously, right? That's impact, right? And that is influence. And here's the thing, I think a lot of times people want the influence, right? You want people to react to you. You want people to follow you, subscribe, sign up for your programs because you want to serve them. You want to help them. You want speaking engagements. You want to write books. You want to help millions of people, hundreds, thousands of people, right? Nothing wrong with that. But here's the thing, even with Samuel, right? The greatness, the level of influence and impact that he reached, it came with a cost, starting from very young, right? Because before he was even born, he had a praying mother, and her name was Hannah. And she wanted a son. She wanted a child like it was a deep, deep desire. To the point where she told God, she did a prayer and she said, God, if you will give him to me, I will give him right back to you. And she honored that, right? So here's the thing. What we see, a lot of times we think about Samuel, we think about, oh yeah, he heard from God very early on, and he, was a faithful prophet, and he did his best to help Saul, and he anointed King David, right? Like, he is up there in history. What I hadn't really thought about today is the cost. You don't think Samuel ever thought about just being at home with his mother and his brothers and sisters, like the children that she had in the future after him? You don't think he ever thought about just a regular childhood? Like, he grew up in the temple. He was not regular. He didn't get to enjoy all the things that regular children do when they wake up and they go get to hug their mom, or in the middle of the night when they go get to hug their parents, right? He sacrificed very early on without even getting to choose. That is part of his story. That is some of the things he had to give up. Even Joseph, who, as you all know, I consider us Christian entrepreneurs modern day Josephs, right? Because I believe that the resources God allow us to create in our business are for our businesses to be a vessel, to be a blessing, and it helps someone else. Just like Joseph, right? Very wealthy, very influential. It was for a reason, right? But look at Joseph's story. Look at what he went through. Look at the cost. And it wasn't that he asked to pay it, but it was a part of his story. His brothers, the ones he looked up to, because what little brother doesn't look up to and deeply love their big brothers? His brothers was going to kill him, but instead just beat him and sold him into slavery. The jobs that he had, all he would do was an excellent job, and instead of just promotions, he's getting accused of sexual assault and framed by his boss's wife, right? In prison more than once. Not his fault, not for anything he did. Like, Joseph went through. But look at the latter part of his life. Look at the influence. Look at the impact. And so you may be thinking, okay, you told me you were going to give me a Bible hack that would make growing my business easier. What does this have to do with my business? I just want you to know that whatever level you're looking to go, whatever level of influence you're looking to create, whatever level of income and impact that you desire, I get it, right? And I see that for you, and it'll help you to be prepared for the cost. And we don't always get to choose how we pay it. Whether it's something that you've already went through that is now a part of your story, or it's a challenge that you are going to face, understand that all things really do work together for our good. So the road is not necessarily going to be smooth, but your road is supported, right? That's what I want you to know, because if you know to expect challenges, if you know to expect having a cost to pay, right? A high cost. If you know to expect that before you have the high income and impact and influence, you may face some challenges that you would not expect. If you know it, then you won't be caught off guard. Then you won't be shaken. So when it happens, then you can approach it from an anchored state. You can approach it from a peaceful state. Rest in God. Right? So that's the hack. I am thinking about doing a series because there's so many others, and I think it's really important too, because we so often celebrate the height that people can reach that we see, but I feel like we spend so much less time talking about the cost, right, and the challenges that they face when they're not separate. And I think because of that imbalance is why so many of us Christian women, we can get started, and when we receive pushback, when things don't go according to plan, you can start to feel like you're failing or you're not doing it right, when a lot of this is just a part of the journey. So let me know if you'd like me to continue this series.